Hey everyone, and welcome back to Read with Miss Kurre. So today we are going to be reading through the very famous balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet. So that is Act 2, Scene 2. So I have my copy of the book. You should have yours out to read along, and make sure you have some kind of pen or pencil so you can take notes as we go. So let's get started. So, it starts off with Romeo, and he has just entered into Capulet's orchard, and he is watching Juliet from her balcony. So he's on the ground, hiding behind some tree or something like that. He's watching Juliet. And he starts off his soliloquy. So, think, what's a soliloquy? Oh yeah, it's that thing that actors use to tell you what's going on in their brains. He says, "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady, oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek." Juliet. "Ay me." Romeo. "She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air." Romeo is just a tad dramatic. So let's go through this soliloquy now together. So remember, when Romeo and Juliet are speaking here, they're not speaking to each other. He's giving us his innermost thoughts, and she's giving us her innermost thoughts at the same time. But they're not telling them to each other. Remember, he's hiding behind a tree watching her. Just a tad creepy. So it starts off by talking about what light breaks through yonder window. So he's seeing her in the window. And throughout this entire passage, we see references to light and to sunshine. So we see light, east, sun, fairest stars, brightness, daylight, lamp, heaven, bright angel. Juliet is continually referred to as someone who's bright, who's an angel, who is heavenly. This is to help keep her apart from Rosalind, who he's continually referred to as the moon or through nighttime. So he literally says, "Arise, fair sun," aka Juliet, "and kill the envious moon," aka Rosalind. So he's essentially telling us here that his love for Rosalind is dead and he now loves Juliet. And then he ends up talking about her beauty. He says, "Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes." So he says that her eyes glitter like the stars in the sky. He says the brightness of her cheek would shame those stars. So her cheeks and her blush is greater than that of the stars above. And he says, "As daylight doth her lamp, her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright." So you know how you put a light on in the daytime and sometimes you can't really tell the difference? That's how bright the sun is. He's saying that she is like the sun, and she's that bright that you can't even put any sort of lamp next to her because she just overpowers everything. That's how he feels about Juliet. Totally in love and in awe of who she is. Juliet then begins speaking. Remember, again, she's talking to herself. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn, my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. The key thing to remember here is wherefore does not mean where is he. It means why. So she's saying, Romeo, Romeo, why are you named Romeo? And this is when she starts taking issue with his name. Remember, she loves everything about him except for his name, because his name is the one thing that is keeping them apart. Romeo, whispering to himself, shall I hear more or shall I speak at this? Remember, he's eavesdropping, just a little creepy like. So he's wondering if he should let her know that he's there. And then she gives us one of those most famous lines. 'Tis by thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hands, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name, which is no part of thee, take all myself. So again, she's just taking issue here with his name. She doesn't understand why it's the name that's keeping them apart. She says his name doesn't change his character. She likes him. He's a good man. He seems to be a great person. An aside, they only met once and they're already in love, so how does she really know him? But we'll leave that to, Shakespeare to figure out. But she thinks that he's totally awesome except for his name, and the fact that he has this name, Montague, shouldn't change how she looks at him. I have a rose. She says, that which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So this is my dried out rose here. Still smells like rose. But if I called it a daisy, it would still be a rose. If I called it a cup of coffee, it would still be a rose. If I called it a cloud, it would still be a rose. Like this, just because I call it something different, doesn't mean it smells any less nice. This is when Romeo decides to make his grand entrance. And he goes, I take thee at thy word, call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I will never be Romeo. So he's like, just call me your lover, and I'll just get rid of my name. Like, you're going to baptize me, give me a new name, everything will be fine. And Juliet, meanwhile, is like, whoa, there's a creepy man who's staring at me from my balcony. And she says, what man art thou that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel? Who are you? Why are you here? And he says, by a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I written, I would tear the word. So he's like, I hate my name because it's your enemy. It means I'm your enemy. So I hate my name. If it was written on a piece of paper, I would rip it up. Juliet's response, my ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, and yet I know the sound. Are thou not Romeo and a Montague? She's like, I know who he is by his voice. Romeo, neither, fair saint, if either thee dislike. Juliet, how camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here. Romeo, with love's light wings did I overperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no let to me. Juliet, if they do see thee, they will murder thee. So she's like, how'd you get in? He goes, oh, love. By the power of love, I was able to scare out the walls and come visit you. Because he's a dramatic, lovesick boy. And she goes, if anyone sees you, you're going to die. His response is, alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of thy swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enemy. So there's more peril in Juliet's eye than there is in her kinsman trying to kill them. So he's more afraid of her rejecting him and his love than an actual death. Juliet says, I would not for the world they saw thee here. Romeo, I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight, And but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued wanting of thy love. So he'd rather die knowing that she loves him than live his entire life without her. Foreshadowing. Juliet. By whose direction foundest out that place? Romeo. By love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washeth the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise. Juliet. Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush paint my cheek, for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. So she's embarrassed that he was listening to her. So she's blushing, but he can't see because it's nighttime and it's dark. She goes on to say, Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. So she's saying, do you love me? I know that you do. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false at lovers' perjuries, then say Jove laughs. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou think'st I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behaviour light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overheardst ere I was ware. My true love's passion therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered. So this is Juliet now explaining to Romeo how much she loves him. She knows that he loves her, but she's also worried that she's coming off a little too strong. So she says, if thou thinkst I am too quickly won, she means if you think that I fall in love with you too quickly, she's like, I can be coy, I can present more of a challenge. If you think that I'm just falling in love with you because I just fall in love with everyone, she's like, that's not true. I'm super serious about it and I can show how serious I am. Which is ironic because Romeo falls in love super duper easily. So we're going to keep reading from where Romeo says, Lady, by yonder blessed moon I swear, that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops. Juliet, oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that the love prove likewise variable. Remember, the moon changes. Every night it grows bigger and it gets smaller. So when she's saying the moon is inconstant, there are some nights when we don't even see the moon. So she wants him to not even swear by it at all. Romeo, what shall I swear by? Juliet, do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee. She idolizes him. Romeo, if my heart's dear love, Juliet, well, do not swear, although I joy in thee. I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be. Ere one can say it lightens. Sweet good night, this bud of love, by summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when we next meet. Good night, a sweet repose and rest. Come to thy heart as that within my breast. So what she's saying here is, wow, this is moving super fast, and I think you should go now, and maybe next time I see you, I'll love you a little bit more. She thinks this is really quick to talk about loving someone. So she's going with the whole absent makes the heart grow fonder thing. Like, go away, I'll see you later, and maybe when I see you later, I'll love you even more. Romeo, the persistent man that he is, says, oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? Juliet, what satisfaction canst thou have tonight? Romeo, the exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine. He wants her to commit herself to him and say, I'll marry you. Juliet's response is, I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again. So he's like, I want you to say you love me. And she's like, you already have my love. I don't need to say it again. But I wish I could take it back so I could tell you a second time. They're very dramatic. This is the equivalent of, I love you. Good night. You hang up first. No, you hang up first. Because they're so in love and infatuated with each other that they can't process not being together. Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love? Juliet. But to be frank and give it thee again, and yet I wish but for the thing I have. My beauty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep, the more I give to thee. The more I have, for both are infinite. Her love for him is infinite. It goes as deep as the sea, as high as the sky, yada, yada, yada. Nurse calls for her. I hear some noise within, dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse, sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little, I will come again. And she leaves. She goes bye-bye. And Romeo, oh, blessed, blessed night, I am afeard. Being in night, all this is but a dream, too flattering sweet to be substantial. Juliet shows back up. 3 words deep, Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow. By one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world. This is kind of her ultimatum. If you truly love me, you're gonna marry me and put a ring on it. Nurse, Madam, Juliet, I come anon, but if thou meanst not well, I do beseech thee. Nurse, Madam, by and by I come to cease thy suit, and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow I will send. Romeo, so thrive my soul. Juliet, 1,000 times good night. Romeo, 1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes towards love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks. So he's comparing his love to kids in school. So he's like, the way that kids don't want to do work in school is the way that he loves Juliet. It's just natural. It's natural to not want to do your homework, and it's natural for him to love Juliet. She appears once more after leaving. Hist, Romeo, oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else I would tear the cave where echo lies, and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with the repetition of my Romeo's name. So she's really saying she can't call out or else her parents are going to hear her. Romeo, it is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to his attending ears. Juliet is his soul. It is my soul that calls upon my name. So she's calling him and he's referring to her as his soul. He cannot live without her. Juliet, Romeo, my dear, at what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee? At the hour of 9. I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I forgot why I did call thee back. Let me stand here till you remember it. I shall forget to have thee stand there, remembering how I love thy company. And I'll still stay to have thee still forget, forgetting any other home but this. So basically, she's like, come back. I forgot what I want to say to you, but I just want to look at you because I'm in love with you. And he's like, I'll stand here for as long as you want because I love you too. Juliet says, 'tis almost morning, I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton bird who lets it hop a little from her hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyres, and with a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving jealousy of his liberty. Romeo, I wish I were thy bird, because she's talking about a bird, comparing their love and him to a bird, and wishes the bird could stay. He's like, I wish I were a bird and I could stay too. Juliet, sweet, so would I, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow. She leaves. Romeo, sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly father sell, his help to crave and my dear hap to tell. So Juliet basically just says right here, she's going to love him to death. Yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. She's going to love him to death. That's how much she loves him. It's going to kill him. Foreshadowing. And Romeo then says he wishes that he were asleep so he could stay with her, but he's going to go to his ghostly father's cell, which basically means he's just going to go see a priest so a priest could help them out and get them married. Woohoo! Act 2, Scene 2. This famous balcony scene is basically Romeo and Juliet expressing their love for each other, and then expressing their love for each other to each other, and then coming up with the plan that they are going to get married on the following day. She says she's going to send someone to him tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he says, great, I will make plans and I will let that messenger know, and that messenger will hopefully tell you the plans about our upcoming wedding. And then they get through this whole thing of, you hang up first, no you, I love you so much, I love you more, and then they finally decide that they have to go home, they have to go to bed because it's almost already the next day. So Act 2, Scene 2, the balcony scene, all about their love for each other. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will talk to you again soon. Bye!